I came across a new phrase today. Negative grandiosity. And what that is someone who believes that the world is set up so that everyone else gets a fair shake, but that the individual, the person thinking about themselves, believes that they actually don't get a fair shake, that the world is set up, sort of like on the side of everyone else and against themselves. I'm not sure if that makes any sense. The thing is that I read that and related to it tremendously. Now, that is not necessarily an aspect of all avoidant personality disorder. As a matter of fact, I've never actually seen it as being part of avoidance. It's not part of the diagnosis, that's for sure. I've never actually seen anything written since I got my diagnosis that I could relate to more. It's a perfect description of how I see my world. I describe it as a black mark on my soul, and it annoys people because they think, what are you, some sort of special snowflake that you can have this, awful effect on people, that there's something within you that is so massively dynamic that you would have this effect on every single other person, and that they are not capable of this. That's where the grandiosity comes in. I really was like, ooh, did not like that term, because regular grandiosity is normally held for narcissists. And that actually is one of the things that comes up, is that there's some form of narcissism that avoidant people are accused of having. Usually by people who don't like how they're being treated by avoidant people. Not because they think they're mistreated, it's just that they think they should get a chance with an avoidant person, and for whatever reason, that would be avoidant personality disorder, but for whatever reason the avoidant person is not able to reciprocate whatever the interest is. And so, when I was growing up, I was called a snob by my mother, especially. She truly felt that that's what my problem was, that I was better than everybody else, and that's why I didn't interact with people. I can see why that would, if that's the case, then yeah, that's narcissistic, absolutely. It's one of the things I really have to think about, because, well, first of all, I got to get past the term. It's just like, I keep talking about people with borderline personality disorder and how they don't like the terminology. They don't like the label. They don't like being told that they are borderline and that this is what it entails. It's the same sort of thing. Like, grandiose? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding that you think that I would think so much of myself? So you got to sort of pull myself away from what that label implies to me, and really look at, what it would, because it does kind of makes, it's really hard to say this because it feels like I'm attacking myself, and it feels like I'm being self-abusive. I can kind of see how that label would be, because grandiose as in thinking that you are sort of a chosen one, but negative, chosen to always be shunned. So again, it's technically not a part of being avoidant, of having avoidant personality disorder. I can relate to it really, really way more than I should. And it might be very personal. I've heard it sort of described by other people. I have not, I've got to tell you. To the extent that I have it, I have not heard it from other avoidant people, from other people with avoidant personality disorder. So it could be like my sort of unique little quirk that I got such a high level of it and other people just don't. That's possible. I mean, my gut response was, okay, well, I don't think I'm special and I don't think I'm unique, and I think that everybody has it and they just don't talk about it that much. That's my sort of my response to that idea. But it might be true. It might be true that this is my personal thing, just like not everybody, but most people have some sort of comorbid stuff going on. Like, it's very common to get depressed if you have avoidant personality disorder, because people, and especially avoidant people, they want to have interpersonal relationships, but they can't have interpersonal relationships. And so that leads to crises and depression. It's very, very common. That doesn't mean that everybody that's avoidant has to be depressed. I know that probably sounds nuts. How is that possible? But it's possible. It is possible. You can't really be happy. It doesn't mean you're actively depressed to be avoidant. So this, what I'm talking about here, this idea that everybody else has a fair shake and I absolutely do not have those opportunities, and I am cursed or whatever. Like I said, the official term is negative grandiosity, and maybe it's accurate that I sort of think, because that actually I hear a lot, that avoidant people sort of think they're, so hard for me to say this, obviously, and like can't get it out of my lips. They sort of think that they're better than other people. In a way, they kind of, it's kind of accurate, because, you know, you look at these superficial relationships that other people have, and avoidant people are definitely having stronger, deeper relationships than sort of normal ditzy people. Yeah, so I think in that way I'm better than them. And yet, I mean, I could really break down how I feel that I'm less than. Because, you know, people think I'm completely mad, but I actually have absolute empirical proof based on who gets accepted for what would be like really negative behavior, and then I don't do this negative behavior, and yet I get thrown on the bus. And I mean, it's like, it's the real deal. You know, if somebody is like a complete shit person, and then yet they get accepted wholeheartedly without criticism, in spite of the fact that they're just being awful to other people. I mean, you're not supposed to make judgments. You're not supposed to compare all this crap. This is crap. Everybody makes judgments, and everybody compares. And if they didn't, you know, the world would not go around. Everybody makes immediate judgments based on how they're interacting with this person and the things that they're picking up from them. It's just a fact. So if you got somebody who's really, truly treating you like garbage, is incredibly selfish, and is just awful, and they're fully accepted, and they have an explanation that, you know, people are accepting, and they're making excuses for them, and then I'm held to a different standard. It's not the standard that I'm holding myself to. It's a standard that somebody else is saying, okay, this person, they're a crap person. They're doing crappy things. They're treating people like garbage. They're cool. You're not doing any of those awful things. You are not cool. This is why I say there's something going on there. This other person is truly actively being a shit person. I am not, and yet I'm the one who's treated like somebody that needs to be pushed out of their life. That I am an awful person, and I am marginalized, and I am dismissed. There is no way that you can look at somebody who is just selfish and horrible versus somebody who is not selfish and even consider them equally. Obviously, the selfish person, it doesn't matter what excuse you come up with, at their core, they're just plain not as good a person. On the scale of all human beings, they're just not as good a person. So, if I am being compared to somebody who's really treating somebody really awful, and then I'm not doing that, I mean, obviously I should, be given a little bit of credit for that. I should be given, it should be respected. It should be acknowledged. And it's not. Instead, my favorite thing of all time was the comparison. Oh, tremendously selfish, but so much compassion. According to what dictionary, what definition you're coming up with? What? No, a selfish person is not compassionate. What are you talking about? And of course the comparison is that I am not being compassionate because I'm not giving a whole bunch of sort of, trifling little the equivalent of a small talk. Oh, you poor thing, that sort of thing, because I'm not going out of my way to say that and then to twist it onto myself and how, I'm the one who actually has been misunderstood. And let me tell you about my story. I'll say, oh, you poor thing, I can completely understand. I feel so bad for you, so I'm going to talk about myself. That's not compassion. What the hell? So this is what I'm saying. If somebody, I don't get it. I mean, maybe they just are excellent at getting over on people. That could be it. Or there really truly is baseline underneath everything. And that it doesn't matter how crappy they treat somebody. They're still, at their core, a better person than I am. And it doesn't matter what I do, how I act, at all. I can't get over that. I am where my baseline is, and that's it. That makes logical sense to me. I mean, it doesn't make sense that people would just, arbitrarily say, this person treats somebody like crap, but they're better than somebody else who treats somebody better. That doesn't make logical sense. It makes logical sense that there's something else, like an ether in the soul, that people are just picking up on. And it's just, there is a baseline where people are. They're either high or low. Well, apparently, that's negative grandiosity. That I'm thinking that there's something you can't tell, it's just innate. That's negative grandiosity, and apparently that's, I don't know. It means I'm self-centered or something? I don't know. There it is.